This episode of the Deep Thinkers podcast is brought to you by Bright Island Outreach. Bright Island Outreach is a group of individuals, many of them dentists or dental professionals, that go down into the Dominican Republic multiple times a year. They are networked with local dental schools down there, and so they take dental students that are from the DR or going to school in the DR, and they take mobile dental units and go into these impoverished areas to provide pro bono work for the good people there who otherwise wouldn't have access to good dental care. They start with education and they teach them about oral hygiene. They also do fillings, extractions, root canals, and cosmetics. So they do a nice wide variety of procedures to take care of the people down there. Like I said, they go down there multiple times a year. So it's not like they're just showing up and providing a service one time and then disappearing into the wind. They take care of these people down there and they make sure that they get the repeated dental work that they need. 100% of all the donations given to Bright Island Outreach goes to the cause. So the people that are working for it don't make any money off this. They just get out of it what they put into it, and it always makes you feel good to serve people and help other people, particularly when those people can't help themselves. So if you're looking for a charity to donate to, this is a great cause. All your money that you give will go to the cause. And if you want to get involved a little further, if you have an adventurous spirit and you want to go down to the Dominican Republic with this group, they also let you do that. Dr. Eric has been doing this since he was a child. His dad is a dentist, and so his family would often do these trips, so he's well versed in experiences like these. So check them out at brightislandoutreach.org. This episode of the podcast is also brought to you by Maracaba Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Andre Maracaba has been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for 24 years. He's from Brazil originally. He moved to Arizona 7 years ago and has been coaching at Power MMA until it recently shut its doors. Andre is an excellent coach and a great human. I highly recommend anybody who wants to get involved in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to reach out to him. His last name is spelled Maracaba, and he's on Facebook. You can either reach out to him personally or like his Maracaba BJJ group. 2017 was a very good year for Andre's team. It was the first time he ever took the state championship in both the kids and adults. So he's who I train with, and he's my instructor. He's my friend, and he is an excellent coach and an excellent human. If you have kids, Andre is an excellent kids coach. He's also great with adults. If you're looking for a new gym, if you're experienced, it's great to come. If you're totally rookie, totally green, have never done jiu-jitsu before, that's fine too. Pretty much my case, I had a little bit of experience with it, but not for 20 years, and definitely not enough that I could call on and have not enough to give me a head start in anything. But I'm loving it. Andre's a great coach. And this episode of this podcast is brought to you by Maracaba BJJ. Hello, Planet Earth. I am here today with Clayton Carpenter. Clayton, how are you doing, man?
Doing good, man.
Good to see you, buddy.
It's good to see you.
All right. Clayton is one of my jiu-jitsu coaches. We had Jake Watson in here a few weeks ago. Jake is number 3. Clayton would be number 2. And, of course, Andre is the instructor, the
top dog
there at Andre Maracaba Jiu-Jitsu. So Clayton, unlike Jake, similar to Jake, Clayton competes in Jiu-Jitsu tournaments, but Clayton has branched out more into just mixed martial arts in general. So from what I understand, you've got a pretty stacked resume.
Yeah, I've been fighting for a while. And actually, me and Jake started doing MMA together when we were, I would say, MMA when we were like close to 13. When me and Jake I was 13, he was 12.
All right, so Jake's told the story from his point of view, how you two met.
Oh, that's right.
I gotta hear it from you.
So we were at this cruddy tournament. It was just like kind of the first jiu-jitsu tournaments that were coming out. There was only two. There was one that was run by like one of the head jiu-jitsu gyms in Arizona, and then the other one was run by this guy that got the boot from one of the head jiu-jitsu schools. Oh, I can't remember which Gracie it was, but yeah. So he had these tournaments, and it was just kind of wild because you could be going up against people like not in your weight bracket at all. So it was just kind of everyone kind of grouped together as bestly as they could. So sometimes you'd fight some guy like 20 pounds heavier than you, and you would never know. When usually, like right now, the weight brackets are typically 10-pound weight spread. So we were at that tournament, and I think we fought for first and second. So we met in the finals of a no-gi match. And
this is on YouTube, by the way. You can Google or you can YouTube Clayton Carpenter, Jake Watson, and it'll pop up. There's 2 matches on the video. They're the second match, but this whole thing is online if you want to check it out.
Yeah, crazy that thing got put on YouTube. I didn't even know about it till like 4 years later. And but yeah, we met in the finals, and I beat him, and that was that. I didn't really. It was just another tournament for me. Not trying to sound cocky, but
yeah.
But we just we kind of became friends, and I think our dad started talking before we really kind of became friends.
Yeah.
And because my dad saw Jake's potential, and he really wanted Jake to come train with us.
Well, when you watch that match, you guys are young, but there's some high-level moves going on there. Like that judo throw in the beginning that you catch.
Yeah, the judo throw was pretty clean. Yeah,
it was pretty cool.
It was a good
like
one.
Even the guys filming it are like, ooh.
Yeah. When you judo toss somebody in a match, and because it's so loud and because it's such a big move, and if you really throw them, it's like kind of the highlight. It's like kind of what attracts out of all the mats. But yeah, I did judo from 5 to 10.
Okay.
Yeah, judo and karate from 5 to 10. So my throws were on point.
Oh yeah. For sure. And then he almost caught you in that triangle too, which was equally cool.
Yeah, I remember him catching me in that triangle and thinking like I wasn't expecting it at all, and when he caught me, and I was just like, oh, I'm like, I could get the hell out of here, you know.
Yeah. Started
pushing his leg and passed, but yeah, it's kind of crazy talking about it. Because we've known each other for so long.
Yeah, it's funny, man. He talks about how he was pissed and he smacks the mat. And
yeah, he was salty. Yeah, he was super.
And you being ever the class act, hold his arm up and he's like, whatever, man.
And I don't know if I just kind of, when you're in that state of like of losing, especially in the finals, I completely know where he's coming from. He's just like, kind of, fuck you.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But yeah. So I just kind of let them go in their den and lick their wounds.
Yeah. Well, being a fighter yourself, you know where they're coming from on that. So you fought MMA, and you've also fought like specific discipline matches all over the world.
Yeah. So I've been doing boxing. So from 5 to 10, I did predominantly karate and judo. I did a little bit of aikido and a little bit of like kind of with the bow and stuff like that, but predominantly karate and judo. And when I was 10 years old, I switched over to jiu-jitsu, boxing, and Muay Thai. So, but also when I was from 5 to 10, I also did wrestling. So I'd go wrestling camps. Throughout everything, I wrestled a little bit.
Yeah, in that video, you're wearing wrestling shoes.
Right. And so when I was 10, and I started doing all the real stuff, Muay Thai, boxing, Jiu-Jitsu, that's when everything kind of took off, and I started, like, my dad started having me compete in everything. Boxing fights, going to boxing smokers in Arizona, going to every Muay Thai, tournament that we could possibly go to, taking me to every Jiu-Jitsu tournament in town, like around town, and, yeah, I think it was really, me and my dad it was just kind of our thing ever since I was little. Since I was like a little kid, 5, 6 years old, he would take me to tournaments in California and in everything, karate and judo. So when I switched over, naturally it just kind of, the sports just switched over and the tournaments changed. And yeah, and it was just kind of this drive to be the best in every kind of subcategory or kind of MMA. So in boxing, Muay Thai.
Well,
Jiu-Jitsu.
you're very much doing a good job at that.
Yeah.
You are one of the more versatile young fighters out there. It seems like.
Yeah, I'm on my run up the chain. You know,
Yeah.
I'm making my way up, and I've just competed with the top guys around the world in or I wouldn't say in every, but in the main MMA categories in boxing, Muay Thai, and Jiu-Jitsu. Mainly Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu, not so much as on a high level in boxing.
Right.
But I won junior Golden Gloves when I was 16.
Nice.
And that was just my biggest accomplishment in boxing. I didn't really go any higher than that.
That's still quite an accomplishment, though.
Yeah. I'm still up there in every, and that's my least. That's my least is boxing. So Muay Thai, I fought all over the world. I fought in Russia. I fought everywhere in the U.S. And yeah, I've had a bunch of Muay Thai fights. And
What was it like fighting in Russia?
Russia, okay, so competing internationally, there's always this underlying tension between, especially being the U.S., and I don't know if it's because everyone expects us to be dicks or it's just that kind of, that underlying tension that you really can't get rid of. So, and there's underlying tension between fight teams regardless.
Right.
So as soon as you add, culture and,
Our champion versus their champion.
right, as soon as you, exactly,
Yeah.
then things get real, then teams get really hyped up, and so it's just extra tension,
Yeah.
really. But the thing that I love the most about fighting jiu-jitsu, kind of all the full contact sports, is after everything's said and done, after everyone's competed, unless someone did some really dirty shit, everyone's cool with each other.
Yeah.
Regardless of who wins, no matter how brutally, people get beat up, how just to the last, gritting their teeth, spit and blood, it doesn't really matter. After everything's said and done, after the fights are all over, in every place, everyone just drinks and has a good time.
Yeah, that's one thing about fighting is, unless you really hate each other, it usually squashes a beef.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I think, one of the main things that fans have a hard time wrapping their mind around, and what people come up to me and say all the time is oh, how can you hug afterwards? Or they're just how can you, feel so happy? And, you see people kissing each other on the forehead,
Yeah.
you see fighters doing, once it's all said and done.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's all said and done, after the fight, everything's over, whatever beef you have with the other guy is just squashed.
Yeah.
Like I said, unless you do any dirty shit.
Yeah, well, and that goes for MMA, Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai or whatever.
Yeah,
but it also goes down into the practicing ranks of Jiu-Jitsu. There's times when, you see it every day, where guys are just going hard. And there might be a little animosity there in that
right.
moment.
That's usually what it is, yeah.
Yeah, but once that bell rings, it just kind of, okay, man, cool, good roll.
Right.
And
it's that last breath. It's
yeah, just let it
good
go.
job, dog.
But yeah, it's that's definitely an interesting thing, man. What are all the countries you competed in?
So I've competed in Abu Dhabi, which is United Arab Emirates.
Yeah, I have Sterling Jensen, who's coming on the podcast to talk about the Middle East region, and
right.
he lives out there in Abu Dhabi, so I'm familiar.
Yeah, that place is a
for
trip,
sure.
man. That place
sure.
is gnarly. And Brazil.
The motherland.
The motherland,
Yeah.
for jits. And Russia, Italy, and...
All this before you could legally drink in the U.S., I'll add.
Right.
Yeah,
No, all before I could drink. Lisbon, Portugal.
Nice.
I think... Oh, the Ukraine.
Very cool.
The Ukraine, yeah. I took a gnarly train ride through, you see, the ghettos of Ukraine.
Dang,
and it is...
Polar Express type
real.
stuff.
A ghetto Polar Express, dude. That's what it was, dude. It was like a ghetto tour. But no, there's some dark places in there. But,
yeah, I'm sure.
But other than that, Canada, and I think that wraps it up.
Right on. Very cool.
In all those places that I've been, there's usually connection flights to all those places, especially over in Europe.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool. One thing that my dad did is we always kind of had a layover of like a few days, and we'd stay at like an Airbnb.
Tight.
And just spend a few days, you know, on the top end and the bottom end of the tournament that we're competing in.
Nice.
And that was really cool. Really cool.
That is cool, man. So you get to see a little bit better perspective, not just there for a fight, but also the good life and the rough life as well.
Oh, yeah, dude. Traveling is definitely just opened my mind in different ways. And you just kind of see the different cultures and the different normalities of every different place. And every place is different. And it's pretty unique to kind of get a little taste of every culture and see what works, what doesn't work, why people do it this way versus another way. And as Americans, I think we all kind of think like, oh yeah, you know, like we're the shit, you know, like we got everything together, we're fucking America.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
And traveling definitely kind of makes you realize you're like, oh, there's a lot of stuff, you know, that we could
this country
do way better.
Might
you know,
have
like,
something to offer in this regard.
right?
You know?
And every country I think does one thing well or has their own kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's in the culture or in the government, but
or in the food.
Or in the food.
Yeah,
in the
like,
food.
Yeah. we definitely don't have the corner on the market for the amazing food here.
No,
I mean, we got good food here.
We do.
But it all comes from other countries.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just a big boiling pot.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man. So, do you have any fights coming up, or do you have what are your plans for the future here?
I am gonna get a fight. I think in October.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
about a month and a half, 3 months out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I plan on competing in October if I'm ready. I've been plagued with a series of 2 of the stupidest injuries
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
But they're still in. Like I was gardening and I had a razor blade in my hand and I cut the tops of on my left hand of my pointer and my middle finger, just kind of sliced it across the top, and so I had it taped up for a couple days, and my skin got real tender. And then I went and taped it up again and rolled hard on Jiu-Jitsu. And one of the grips I like to make is spider guard. And imagine grabbing people's sleeves and like tucking your fingers into those sleeves.
Yeah, spider guard's pretty rough on your knuckles.
Yeah, and so it just broke out with the nastiest case of ringworm. So I'm...
yeah, dude, whenever... I know you're kind of newer to Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
First year. And, bro, whenever your skin breaks like that, you gotta drown it. Hydrogen peroxide, rubbing alcohol, whatever you got.
Yeah, it's just...
Or else it will... Especially your hands, because your hands touch everything.
Yeah.
You know?
It just took I was surprised at the speed and ferocity that this broke out with. I was just like, you gotta be kidding me,
yeah,
man.
dude.
Like,
and it's fucking... And it gets itchy, and you want to itch it.
Yeah.
It's not cool.
Yeah, it's a little rough.
Don't touch it.
Yeah.
If you touch it, that's how it spreads, dude.
Yeah, so, no, I've been keeping it, you know, I've got the cream for it. I've been keeping it real clean. But it's maddening being otherwise healthy, except for about 2 inches on the end of 2 fingers.
Yeah.
That just takes me out of the game. And you can't, like Clayton and I were talking about this earlier, there's certain things in jiu-jitsu that you just don't do. Obvious things like not washing your gi or things like that, not showering, having long fingernails, long toenails, and any type of contagious ailment or rash
disease
or anything like just don't bring it anywhere.
Don't bring it anywhere
near
in your class.
Yeah,
wait till that shit passes.
Yeah, it's a common respect for because you could end up, especially at Maracaba, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, where we love to compete. You know, and most of the guys in there are competing monthly or every other month. So I mean, if you spread something, you get somebody sick. Even if you take them out for 4 or 5 days, that could be a fifth of their training in between competitions.
In between tournaments, yeah, that's
so
a good point.
you could really or on the other side of that, there could be someone that you're really used to training with, someone who's about your same height, weight. Maybe they're a higher belt level than you, maybe they're not. And if they get taken out because of someone's stupid mistake of coming to the gym sick, then you're screwed because that person who gets you ready for your tournaments now has to take a week off.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different aspects of it. With jiu-jitsu, it's very much iron sharpens iron. So everybody, whether your skill set is high or low, everybody is a big part of everybody else's training program.
Getting better, right.
So...
Yeah, I can't be spreading around that stuff, man.
Yeah, man.
So it just sucks because it's just like a short little intermission that you got to take.
Yeah, you know, and it just is. It's weird. It's just between this and then earlier this month too, I had some kind of stomach bug, where I was in warm-ups. Even I would just start sweating profusely and be like,
really?
"Whoa, what's going on?" And then, were you there that day? I threw up in class.
No, I missed
yeah,
it.
man, it was before the remodel, man. Like it was within the.
It was when the mats like just got put down.
Yeah,
there was
it was the old mats. Still.
Yeah, there was no flooring.
No flooring, anything.
Yeah.
And I could. It was my second or third day in a row of just getting worked, you know. And during the free roll at the end of class, I'm kind of sitting out for half. I'm just like, what's wrong with me? And I get that.
Just feeling lightheaded or just
throat sealing. Oh, nauseous.
Nauseous.
Like fine when I'm during the day doing my stuff.
What'd you eat?
I don't know.
That's probably why, dude.
well, no, and I guess a couple people had it though. Was
it a stomach bug? You think, or
I
just
think
something that you ate?
I think it might have been something I ate.
Yeah.
But it didn't bug me at all, except for when I started to get physically active. Okay. And then it was like, okay, you're not ready for this.
Right.
You know, it was just not strong enough to disrupt my daily routine, but definitely
okay, so
present.
You felt it in the beginning of the day?
No.
No?
Only when I would roll.
Moving?
Only when I would start moving heavily.
Well,
so,
I mean, that could have been...
Could have been anything.
Could have been a bug, but it also could have just been some
shit I thought it was something I ate, but somebody else mentioned that they might have had it too, and a couple people were working with it. So that's when I thought it might have been a bug.
All right.
But so the third day, I'm rolling with Norm, and I start to feel that. I think it was Norm, and you start to feel that
your
swelling up your throat, and I'm like, crap, I felt this before.
Run.
So I'm running. And I get into the bathroom, and it just, and I'd gotten close to puking from working out before, but I'd never actually done it. And what was crazy is as soon as I threw up, the most splitting headache started at my temples and just went wham right into the center of my forehead, like serious pain. I was like, what is this crap, you know? And so that's when I kind of just laid down on the mat and just kind of held my head for a while.
It sounds like a bad combination between...
Almost like dehydration.
Dehydration and eating the wrong shit.
Yeah, it was a rough night, you know. Yeah. So I had that I had to deal with, and I think...
You down some Pedialyte?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
I think a lot of people... I think someone was like, why don't you just take the rest of the week off? And I was like, oh, okay. So I missed the first
You're
week.
just like, you know what? That sounds awesome.
Yeah, there's only been maybe 10 days this month I've been able to train, if that.
This month?
Yeah.
10 days?
Yeah. It's been rough, you know. So, but, you know, it's fine. You know, I've been able to stay chill. A lot of times I get out, if I've got a lot of piss and vinegar, then that would be a bad combo. But I'm pretty chill these days.
Yeah, you gotta do something physically to kind of...
Yeah, it's good to...
Get that out.
Good to get worked on, you know.
Yeah.
Good to have a struggle. But, so, you just turned 21.
Just turned 21.
And the goal here is professional MMA.
Yep, plan on turning pro by the end of this year.
Very cool.
Yep.
A lot of people who are listening to this podcast will already be familiar with the name Clayton Carpenter, but if you're not, remember that name. You can actually look at his footage online, but watching you fight is like watching a high-level mixed martial artist, like someone who's been doing it a long time. Someone who, the fight I'm thinking of is the one online, and it's in Prescott. And you square off with this guy. You kind of take him to the ground for a little bit. There's a little bit of a ground and pound, and then you transition into an armbar.
Yep. And
the takedown, transitioning into the Jiu-Jitsu, transitioning to the ground and pound, going back into the Jiu-Jitsu is all seamless.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time. I think that's one of the hardest things in MMA is literally mixing it up. Is mixing the striking with the grappling, when to strike, when to hold them. That's really just a never-ending, evolving kind of thing. And when I guess I don't really notice it as much just because I've been watching footage of myself since I was a little kid. But I mean, I definitely understand the gap between high professional kind of level and the amateur level, but it's all about mixing it up and just kind of knowing when to punch and using your punches using your striking to set up your jiu-jitsu and using your jiu-jitsu to set up your strikes.
Nice. Now, the majority of the people listening to this podcast have no idea what being ranked as a fighter is or how it works. A lot of them will be familiar with MMA. So let's talk a little bit about like getting amateur fights and how that whole thing works, how ranking system works and things like that.
So, I mean, basically, the ranking system just comes down to your record. But the record can be so deceiving because in different places of like kind of the U.S. or like different places around the world has different levels of MMA. And depending on where you're at in the world or where you're at in the U.S. anywhere, will kind of dictate, the level of how high, you could possibly be, right? And so the UFC's kind of centralized, the UFC and the internet really has kind of centralized fighting, and it's kind of leveled of what's considered professional, what's considered, amateur,
Nice.
But before the internet, really, it was just kind of who's the biggest, baddest, mother trucker, in the region or in the area, and you just have different promotions, and different promotions became prestigious for having the biggest, baddest dudes, and I think it just came from that as a ranking wise.
Right.
But so your rank is basically just your record.
Okay.
But I'm just saying it can just be a little deceiving because you never know. Unless there's video on every single one of your fights, like you could have been fighting bums, you could have been fighting, who knows.
Right.
And that's why people sometimes go to certain areas to go to, like, you see boxers a lot go to Mexico to build up their record.
Gotcha.
And next thing you know, they're like 15-0, 13 knockouts. Not saying Mexico has bad boxing at all.
Right.
I'm just saying that's a place where I know fighters go to build their record.
Yeah, and that's a common thing throughout boxing is people going down into Mexico to fight.
Yeah. Boxing has, or Mexico has bad to the bone boxers. I'm not discrediting Mexico at all. Mom was from Mexico, born there.
Very cool.
But yeah.
Yeah. How many amateur fights do you have before you start to go? Is it a fight number? Is it a skill set level, or is it an age type thing? It's a weird formula of when you should turn pro, and kind of you can judge it based on. I mean, you can only judge it based on a few things. You can judge it based on the people that you fought, how you fought with them, how badly did you outclass them, or how badly did you get outclassed, and kind of rank yourself that way. And the other way is by your training partners. Now, I'm not saying training partners and sparring is the same thing as having fights, so it's kind of hard to rank yourself with your training partners regardless if you guys go at it or, go toe-to-toe. Right. It's still not a fight unless you're actually in a sanctioned fight. Right.
It's pretty hard to have that experience with your training partners and that kind of environment.
Right. You can go hard, but it's not. They still have a vested interest in you. They
it's
don't
not
want to
sanctioned.
defeat you. Yeah.
Right.
They might want to win in that moment, but they don't want to conquer you at all costs.
Well, I mean, that kind of stuff happens though too, where people just go at it, but it's just not the same thing. Really. Yeah. You have to really hate each other to go at it, which happens.
I'm sure.
From time to time.
I'm sure. Well, that's what some of the things that makes the UFC so exciting is the long-term beefs, because it's been around longer than any of the other leagues. There's people that have been in there who have known each other longer. The classic example, John Jones, Daniel Cormier beef. Those guys have been not liking each other for a long time.
And I believe their beef is real. Yeah. I think that I would say maybe 70% of like beef that you see on television in interviews is real. I'd probably say 70%.
Yeah.
The rest is just people trying to, either hype
Sell a
themselves
fight,
up,
yeah.
sell a fight, trying to, make more money.
Yeah, I think...
And that's what I think people really don't understand is how much of it isn't really real. How
Right.
much of it is somebody really just trying to, be somebody.
At this point, anything Chael Sonnen says,
Right.
he's pretty much trying to sell a fight.
Yeah.
Same with Dominic Cruz,
And that's the thing is because you can have somebody who really kind of his persona that he plays or whatever can come across as such like a dick, some arrogant prick. And when people who know them or people from their fight team that are just like, nah, like
it's not
super chill dude.
Total character.
Total character.
Yeah, Chael Sonnen's a very smart guy, and so is Dominic. They're both very smart guys.
Right.
And they know that there's room for the bad guy in the sport.
Yeah.
I
mean, there's room for whoever will get people to show up and
Right.
start watching, so it's everyone kind of finding their own little niche or their own little thing,
But the shit talkers do make it a lot funner.
But yeah, the shit talkers do make it.
And I'm not a Daniel Cormier fan. I love John Jones.
Uh-huh.
I respect Cormier's talent.
Uh-huh.
Not my type of guy.
Who?
Daniel Cormier.
Uh-huh.
I think he's a great guy.
So you're saying Daniel Cormier isn't your kind of guy, but you really like John Jones?
I've had some rowdy friends in my day. I've had some rowdy times.
Okay.
John Jones. My problem with Daniel Cormier was his trash talk was, I deserve this more because I'm a better person.
Uh-huh.
It's where it seemed like a lot of that was based in, and it's like that's not
so it's creativity.
Point. It's kind of like that's not the point of the fight. We're talking about who's the better fighter here, not the better person, Daniel.
Yeah.
But I was stoked when John Jones won. However, I'm not one of these guys that will shit on a fighter on social media if they lose, even though I know that my voice is one of thousands of drops in an ocean or millions of drops in an ocean when it comes to online. Like I wouldn't talk trash to Ronda Rousey when she lost. I wouldn't. Right. None of these champions when they lose. I don't agree with it. I think it sucks.
With just his style of shit talking?
Well, I just think in general, like when everybody hopped on Ronda Rousey when she lost, when Holly Holm beat her.
Or yeah.
I just think that people that jump on prize fighters when they lose is kind of like that whole...
People who bag on the fighters after they talk shit weren't original fans to begin with.
Yeah,
that's it at the end.
Well, and it's kind of just like, listen, their sport isn't like they got beat in basketball when they lost, or they got beat in tennis when they lost. No, they got their ass kicked.
Yeah, that's what I love about fighting. Yeah, is because there can be close fights and stuff, but when you lose, when you really lose, like you lost. Like
you got beat up, and to go out there and compete in that is something that I think deserves a certain amount of respect.
Yeah.
In general.
I agree with you.
and win or lose, I just think like you're out there doing it. Yeah. So I'm not gonna jump on it. And plus, like I know what it's like to be publicly shamed online for one thing, and it sucks. And
yeah, dude. I mean, you gotta always. I mean, you gotta respect fighters in general. Like just fighter. The fighting in general, you gotta respect. You gotta respect anybody that's willing to go in there and be trapped in the cage with another individual.
Yeah.
And literally fight till somebody quits. Can't take it anymore. Gets hit so hard. Their body literally can't move.
And if you're a fan of the sport and you've never actually seen a cage up close in real life, go to an MMA gym. Go in and take the tour, walk around, and get up close to that cage. Look inside it. Be respectful. But there's really like a lot is lost on what that cage actually is on TV. Just the sturdiness, the thickness, the finalness of it when it shuts. It's just
yeah. When I was a kid watching fights before I actually had an MMA fight, before I fought and trained in a cage, I thought that cage was a lot softer. It looks very soft. If you've never been pushed up on a cage and you see it and you're like, oh, they throw rubber over the wire, No,
it's a big, thick, sturdy cage.
It will still shred you up.
Yeah.
It will slice you up.
Yeah.
That cage is hard.
If you're a fan of the sport and you've never seen one, that's like loving basketball and never playing street hoops. You know, you've got to see.
I wouldn't know that reference. Not a basketball player.
You never played basketball in elementary school one time?
Maybe a few, yeah.
Wow, okay. See, well, Clayton has many talents. Being tall.
Yeah, being
not,
tall.
Not
one
one
of them.
We're in the same. We're in the same
half
category.
Irish, half
there.
Mexican. Basketball is my thing.
Oh man, but yeah.
More of a fighter.
Yeah, vertically challenged folks like us don't do well on the basketball court.
Not the tallest.
Yeah. So, but yeah, where I was going with that whole DC John Jones thing is, I'm not a Daniel Cormier fan, but I started following him on Twitter just so I could listen to the two of them talk shit together.
Right.
Back and forth. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it gets pretty funny on Twitter.
Yeah.
And how people kind of dish it out on there. But I would definitely say that I am a slightly more... I would say I'm a slightly more... I respect John Jones.
Right.
I am a fan of John Jones fighting way more. I like John Jones as a fighter. How he fights way exponentially more than Cormier. Cormier is a bad dude. Not discrediting Cormier. He's, one of the top guys, But...
No matter how
as
you
far as
split it,
fighting
he held
styles
that
go,
belt.
as far as fighting styles go, I respect and I really am a fan of John Jones a lot more. As far as I don't know, John Jones as a human, I don't know,
he's got some growing up to do.
And there's and you can kind of judging people. I mean, that's what we're doing, but when he was in a hit and run accident with that pregnant lady, and just took off, I tried not to judge too hard, and I tried to say, all right, in every situation where you want to judge somebody, you gotta honestly put yourself in their shoes, and and think about shit, and what you would do. And I thought about it, and I'm just like, well, if you were the champion of the world and you just hit somebody, and you had drugs, you had, a bunch of cash, you had all the wrong things to have in your car, I could see how you would take off. And I wasn't there. I don't know how pregnant she was, really. I don't know the story. And maybe she wasn't that pregnant, but still.
Well, I don't think he knew that she was pregnant. I don't even think he knew it was a woman. I think he just hit somebody.
He just took off.
Yeah.
You see, and I can I can get that. And I can see how the media, John Jones hit a pregnant woman, fucking everyone.
It looks horrible.
It looks
bad.
super horrible.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to jump on that train of shitting on him and being a hater. So I'm trying not to judge him too much, but...
For me, I think that's one of those decisions where you're young, there's no way that someone like me can know what it's like to be John Jones on a Thursday.
Right.
Having any as you're walking down the street, everyone knows who you are.
Right.
Even if they don't act like they do, they do.
Right.
I saw John Jones walking down the street today, Didn't say hi, but I saw him,
Right.
So, I mean, there's a ton of pressure at a young age where you don't know how to handle it.
That's a good point.
You're a world champion, so everyone's telling you you're the greatest. You probably have a lot of yes men in your life at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think it comes down to is a horrible moment in judgment. And
or just a horrible situation.
Yeah, he made a horrible judgment call.
Right.
And it was what it was. I'm not saying it was. None of us can know what we would do in that situation
unless we're
John Jones in that situation. So
right.
for me, knowing how I was in my 20s. Man, if I can't say that I would
have thought about it, then you'd say being a liar.
Even when I got arrested, in my 20s, for a second there, when he was walking up to my car, I knew I was had.
Yeah,
it crossed my mind.
But it crosses.
It crossed my mind.
I think. Yeah,
and
I think people would be
I'll
saying that they're liars if they say that.
I would never do something like that.
If it didn't cross your mind.
Now to do it,
to do it's another story though.
Now maybe if I had that world champion confidence behind me, maybe I might do something like that.
Yeah.
But it just sucks because that is such a dark smear on what was shaping up to be an amazing legacy.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I don't know him, so I can't really say anything.
Yeah.
If you don't really know somebody, then you can't really.
I think what will
really know.
What will show is, you know, in his appearances and things like that, he talks about how he's changed. He's talked about specific changes in his life that he's made that will help him. I'll take him at his word. I like John Jones a lot. Plus, I believe in redemption. You know, I'd like to, you know, I would love to see
people get
Tiger
chances.
Woods do it. You know, when Mike Tyson came out with his one-man show, I was like, "What, attaboy, Iron Mike?" You know, I like to see the bad guy get their shit together and move forward.
It's always nice to see one of, you know, somebody who you were a fan of, regardless if they go down a deep path or a dark road or not. It's, you know, if they ever are on kind of the downward spiral. I think we all kind of, as humans, relate to that downward spiral and that, you know, relate to those lows and can appreciate it when they come back up.
Absolutely. And, you know, as far as John Jones goes, we'll see how it goes for him. You know, he could end up getting in trouble again and be like, "Oh, bro."
Yeah, we'll see if he messes up.
Yeah, but you know, he could keep his nose clean. He could have very well
learned his lesson.
Yeah, learned his lesson and take things in a different direction. I'm just glad to have him back in the weight class.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. It is making things a little bit more interesting.
You know, I want him to come back and square off against Gustafsson.
I need to see that fight.
Yeah, that needs to happen.
That needs to happen. I don't know why that hasn't happened. I know why it hasn't happened.
Yeah, but I think if not his next fight, it'll be his next couple fights. He's going to be Brock Lesnar next, isn't it? That's what I heard.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, John Jones, Brock Lesnar.
I'm out of the loop. I didn't know.
I think, you know, unless it's just... I haven't read the articles, but I've seen it make the rounds. Uriah Faber on Facebook posts
everything.
You know, a UFC signed athlete sneezes, and Uriah Faber's tweeting about it. You know, like Misha Tate has a new swimsuit at the lake that she posts on Instagram.
No shit, really.
Uriah Faber's all about it. Like, check this out, guys.
Really?
So yeah, all my MMA news I get from Uriah Faber on Facebook.
So you just need to follow Uriah.
Yeah, Uriah will have you
the
covered.
Updates on everything.
Yeah, he'll have you covered.
That's funny.
But yeah, I think he's or somebody's been posting about that. I haven't clicked on the link and read it, but that would be interesting because you'd have technique and raw talent versus experience and size and strength. And
so we're switching gears back to Brock Lesnar
and Jones.
John Jones?
Yeah.
I think Brock is going to get picked apart.
Yeah, you think?
I think John Jones is going to keep him on the outside. Brock Lesnar is going to try to bull rush his way through everything, and I think that John Jones is going to clip him with an uppercut coming in. I mean, and that's going to be the fight, you know? That's going to be the fight, is whether Brock Lesnar is able to, you know, kind of bulldog his way through.
What if Brock Lesnar does get a hold of him? John Jones is pretty... His ground game is pretty good.
Yeah, dude. I think he's going to, like I said, pick him apart, dude. I think he's going to pick him apart no matter where the fight goes.
Has it.
I think that like I said, I think everybody has, all fighters have a puncher's chance. You know, Brock Lesnar has that chance to hit him with the big overhand right and knock his lights out. He has that power.
Right.
And then some. But, I don't know, man. They're cracking down on all the
PEDs,
you know, all the roids, you know, all the shortcuts, and it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go with all that, what they decide, like with the use of IV bags and things like that. Like I think that fighters should be able to have an IV bag.
Yeah, I think that was absurd.
I think that was erring
when they did that.
On the extreme side of caution.
Yeah, I mean, and the reason why they do that is because fighters will people will take it to whatever limit they can take it to.
Right.
So it's on the commission side, it's them, you know, looking out for the fighter, which you got to understand, you know. But I think it's just a little ridiculous because people are going to push it to the farthest limits that they can, and they're going to find shortcuts and ways to do whatever they want to do anyways. And you do have to keep boundaries like that in place to keep people from going overboard. But the IV bags is just rehydrating yourself.
The problem I have with it
and
is...
you only have 24 hours.
Yeah, the problem I have with it is they're creating the need for the IV band, the IV...
Yeah, I would agree.
With the weight cut by having not enough weight classes.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, if you're not going to have enough weight classes and you're going to force athletes to cut weight, you really should let them rehydrate themselves so they don't run risk of brain injury.
Right. Risk of brain injury because there's some fluids in your brain that if you get completely dehydrated, completely depleted, those liquids in your brain that kind of surround your head take longer than 24 hours to be completely replenished.
Right.
So, in my opinion, I mean, that goes with those 24 hours, you know, in general.
Yeah.
Not saying, or the IV bag just makes it a faster way to get them what they need.
Yeah.
To not get knocked out in the first round.
Any edge you can have when it comes to recovery and hydration is when you have to get recovered and rehydrated. When you're talking, you're probably only talking about a couple hours advantage of rehydration with an IV bag as opposed to drinking it. But that couple hours could ultimately save you from getting injured in the long run.
Plus, what you put your stomach through doing the weight cut that every fighter has to do, you know, like, I don't know if it medically doesn't matter because you can maybe rehydrate, you know, through your mouth just as easy, but not just as easy, but just as effectively. But, yeah, dude, it takes your stomach a longer time to, like, process that.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. No, and it's just a faster way to rehydrate, you know,
right.
Any way you look at it. And the thing is, too, is it seems like a given. You want more weight classes? Sure. That means more fights, more belts, more championships, more pay-per-view, more athletes, more marketability, more... I don't know why it's even a discussion. You know, it seems like it would be a slam dunk.
Right. I mean, and the other thing, just with those IVs, is what I'll say, like, some people put in their IVs of just, like, nutrients, like, actual, not any cheating, not any steroids, like, actual nutrients that they need, that their body's craving, that they haven't had for a certain amount of time. And I think that, I mean, yeah, I guess you could drink the water anyways, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just...
it's just such a faster way to receive what you need at the end of the day.
No, and I totally agree with you. Fighters go through a lot to cut weight, man. It really hit home to me the first time I saw Ryan Bader at Power MMA, and he was maybe 4 or 5 months out from his championship fight. It was, and I was like, dude, this guy's huge. You know, like I was talking to one of the other guys in the class. I'm like, he's huge. He's a tank. Like he looks a lot smaller on TV. Like he just there's something that gets lost, and they're like, dude, it's because he's cut 15 to 20 pounds when you see him on TV. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense because he was so stout when I was like
Yeah, not only does I think Ryan Bader look bigger, regardless if he's cutting weight or not, he looked bigger in person than he does on TV. But so the weight cut doesn't help.
Yeah, for sure. You know, but that was one of the first things where I saw it in real life too, because as it got closer to that fight, he did start looking leaner and leaner. But yeah man, guys that cut weight a lot, like for me, I want to get down to just an even 200 pounds. So I can move up to 205 to compete in Jiu-Jitsu. And I just want that to be the weight that I'm at. You know, I don't want to worry about cutting weight. I just want that to be my steady weight.
Yeah. So, I mean, and the more you compete, the more you're going to find out what weight bracket fits you. And as your body changes, you know, you're just going to find what weight class you're more efficient in. You know? Yeah. And sometimes there could be tougher guys at the lower weight class if you're going to drop a weight. Just comparing it to if you would have stayed in your weight class without cutting weight. Right. So you never really know, you know. Yeah. But so sometimes you might be better fighting off at cutting weight and fighting at a lower bracket. Sometimes you're almost better off staying where you're at.
And there's animals and like people in our gym that go up weight classes and compete.
Yeah, in the absolute division.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. You know, it's like going in. I mean, I would do it if I had that skill level, but like you're going in at a disadvantage, and just knowing that and going into it and still coming away like the victor is awesome.
It's absolute, dude. It's like anything goes. It's like the best for your weight, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool how it's just kind of everybody's weight class. And I think one thing that's cool about the absolute is it shows who's the best weight, you know, because there's an arc, you know, of obviously the lower weights to the the guys who are too big, you know, so you kind of find that peak weight class of who's the best in the world. And it's really cool when you can get some guys that are either, you know, like lighter than average, and some people that are a little bit heavier. It's just kind of cool to see to see it fluctuate.
Yeah,
and to see how some guys can be just on another level to where their weight isn't, where they're a little bit lighter than normal. Not too much, obviously.
And it's like boxing too, where each individual weight class has something unique about it that makes it awesome to watch in its own right.
Right, because as the body types fluctuate between weight, like there's different body types in every weight, but the different weight classes have different kind of just, I wouldn't say styles so much as pace.
Yeah, that's totally true. I could totally see that. Like, and I think a lot of it depends on just, I would say, age level too. When I watch someone like you grapple with, say, Will Reed,
right?
Obviously, you've been doing it a lot longer than Will, but Will, in his own right, is a fully legit jiu-jitsu player.
Yeah, William knows what he's doing.
Like William, like you'll hear about that name if you're going to be interested in the jiu-jitsu world in the future. Like, he's going to be one of those guys that comes up totally solid. Yeah. And in watching you two roll, there's a level of speed that starts to go on.
Yeah, we're just both on the lighter side of the weight brackets, and I really like turning up the speed with Willie, and it kind of keeps me on my toes because I won't do too much to overpower him, and I'll just kind of keep it moving fast. And that's one thing training with lighter guys really does, is it really pushes that pace.
Yeah.
And if you can really like efficiently roll with them without overpowering, getting the most like roll that you can get out of them.
Yeah.
It just speeds up your tempo.
Yeah.
And then you're faster than the average guys your size, you know, and and that's you. Now you're the fast guy pushing the pace in your weight bracket.
Yeah, it's definitely like, you know, like Charlie Brown cartoons.
Yeah.
When they fight. How
they scuffle.
There's that ball with the dust.
Yeah.
At some point, that's what good high-level jiu-jitsu starts to look like a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, you're rolling around and it's just, you know, and like...
Yeah, I can turn into that.
And you can move 7 feet in a jiu-jitsu match. Like if, you know,
right.
Well, obviously you have in tournaments and things like that, you have an actual rectangle that you've got to stay in. But like you can move all over the place, and it's literally like that scuffle ball.
That scuffle ball.
That's getting kicked around, you know.
Yeah. I would say that scuffle ball is a scramble.
Yeah.
Of just people, you know, just like boom, 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 back and forth. They're like.
And that's where wrestlers are so annoying.
Yeah.
when they're brand new.
It's creating that scramble.
Well, they're good at it.
Yeah.
You know, because like if you're just stepping on the mat for the first time, not only can you not do submissions and chokes, but your scramble, your back and forth game is still as green as it goes. And a lot of times, that match is won or lost in the scramble.
In the scramble.
You know, as far as getting good position goes, like, you know, if I get worked on in the scramble and I get in a bad position, like I'm just like, okay, great, this is, I've really got to focus on sweeping this person. And sometimes, you know, especially with the guys in our gym, where we've got a lot of high level, you know, competitors and a lot of high level belts. Sometimes, man, if I get on the bottom in a roll, I might be on that bottom the whole time.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
and
Andre hates that word scramble.
Does he?
Yeah. So you're gonna
what's a better term?
No. It's not that he hates the word scramble and that there's a better term for what it is. It's just that he hates it because it's just.
I usually call
I feel
it
like he
back
kind
and
of
forth.
looks at it as just like sporadic, like kind of not as
mindless,
clean, not as
spaz.
clean technique.
Yeah.
But I mean, sometimes it turns into that. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes it turns into not the cleanest. You know, just going back and forth and
Yeah.
the scramble, dude. It's
When someone's got really good defensive technique, it's hard to like. I mean, ultimately, your good technique is going to be what gets you through that. But sometimes it's hard, and sometimes like it almost.
I think it's a combination between how much some person is defending and how much some person is, how much they're defending and how much they're willing to go for stuff.
Right.
Because if they're really defensive, they're not going to be willing to be in that scramble, going back and forth.
Yeah.
You know, so I think actually, now that we're talking about it, like when you get in a scramble, is just the willingness of both people just going one after the other,
Right.
just going back and forth, and not being able to get a real secure position or a real secure lock or grips to kind of slow things down.
And it seems like the biggest part of like in all of jiu-jitsu, but specifically the scramble, mental toughness. Like
Yeah,
if you
that's
give up on that, if you are the one that lets go and you let them get the secure footing, you gave up. You know, like you should have just kept on.
Yeah, you should have
like
just kept on
even if
trying.
that scruffle keeps going and going.
Yeah, that little scramble can be the end of the match. You
Yeah,
know? It could be the whole
yeah.
reason why they're on top. They pass their guard and game over.
Yeah, Nathan Watson, Jake's cousin, was great at that. Like just not
creating scrambles, or
just not giving up on the scramble and just making me earn it.
Yeah,
because there are people that if it's not in a competition or it's just a roll, you might give up on that scramble. But but he would not give me anything, man. Like
oh no, I just think that it just differs between people actually.
Yeah.
Not how much you're willing to go for something.
Yeah.
It kind of depends on a lot of things. You know, what kind of day you're having that day.
Yeah. Well,
who you rolled with before that.
Yeah.
If you got real
Consistently,
beat up.
he was so good at that because I remember like trying to get there and thinking this guy just doesn't give up.
Yeah.
Like he'll keep hustling on this.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's
So. But there's so many cool little aspects to it. I know for me, if I can get on in side mount or full mount within the first couple minutes of the match,
right,
I may very well get swept right away. But I know for me, at least I'm going to have a fighting chance. You know, whereas
I mean, if you're able to get side control and get full mount, then that means you at least pass their guard. Right. So that you pass their guard, it got to side control. You're dominating enough to get to full mount, to get to one of the most dominant
and
positions.
that's my
in
game
jiu-jitsu.
plan.
Then
is being
I would
heavy
say
on
that
top.
I would say that you definitely have a huge chance of doing really good, unless the guy's bottom game is shit and his top game, on top passing is where it's at. Then yeah.
Yeah, and especially in our gym, there's always guys that are just sweep assassins, man. That'll just get you. You know, like they'll wait.
I think it's cool because I think every different person has their different set of things that they're good at, and it's pretty funny when you roll with somebody who's the spider guard guy, or you were somebody who's a deep half is his thing, or and it's really, I think that part of it's really, really cool and really interesting.
There was a newer white belt there earlier this month. And I don't know if he's rolled before. He was fairly good, but I got the impression that he was probably my experience or less.
Okay, yeah. And, so not his first day.
No, not his first day. But definitely, but not like definitely less than a year.
Right.
You know, and he just in our scramble, I got him in full mount right off the bat.
Okay.
And it got real uncomfortable for him after a while. And then when it was over, I was just like, dude, I'm really...
So what do you mean when you say it got real uncomfortable? Like physically uncomfortable, or mentally he just started getting pissed because you stayed in full mount?
Both, because I stayed in full mount. Right. I couldn't finish him off, but I was I was going for the key lock.
Right.
And if I couldn't get it, I would go back into half guard. Side guard.
Right, side mount.
Side mount, and then I would go back into full mount. So I was kind of I was just being heavy on top. He was trying to sweep me, trying to bump me.
And he couldn't really do anything.
Well, I was messing around with grabbing the back of his head to take away the bump, and he just couldn't get anywhere for the whole time. So it got really uncomfortable for him. And I afterwards I felt bad because I was like, I didn't feel bad like, oh, I beat him up, but it was just like, listen, dude, like just in case like that was something that broke your like. Whenever I have a good role where I just dominate someone, and I don't want to feel like I don't want to be that guy that's bragging like I dominated him
and act like you're superior, right?
Because I'm not. Right. But he fell right into my A game, and I told him I'm like, dude, I'm not that much. Like you're good, dude. Like you just fell right into my A game. You know, like
I mean, I think you're overthinking it maybe a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I mean, you dominate somebody in a role. You just gotta. And you can see that they're getting frustrated a little bit and they can't really do anything.
I just don't want to be that guy.
Then
you just gotta jiu-jitsu.
No, you just gotta say, "Hey man, great job,"
Yeah.
Doing good. I don't know what else
I can tell he was a little rattled though, and I didn't want to be that.
Or maybe if you could tell, so when you could tell that they're just lower and you just kind of dominated the whole match, throw in some advice. Instead of feeling sorry for him.
Yeah, well, and a lot of times what I'll do is, if I'm way better than him, I'll tap him 2 or 3 times real quick, and then I'll sit there and kind of go back and forth until they get me in a compromising spot, and they're like, well, what do I do? Well, I've got you in the guard. Pass my guard. How do I do that?
Right.
Do this. And so they'll pass it. Then I'll lock them up in guard again, and they'll be like, oh, I'm like, do it again.
Right.
Like you just did it.
Yeah, and that's cool. And there's they have to be pretty green, for that kind of role.
Right.
Because
I just realized that pretty early on, like when I would be rolling with people more experienced, they just owned me for the first minute and a half, tapped me 2 or 3 times, and then for the last remainder of it, it would just be back and forth. They'd be like, okay, like you didn't just get that tired.
Right.
Like I know you're taking it easy on me. Like you showed me that you do have a skill set. You got some of your reps in, you got some practice in, and now it's more about going back and forth and being cool. And that's what I love about jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that is really a cool part, and it's also, I mean, the way that somebody is supposed to roll with, say, if someone really outclasses you, the most that they can get out of that role is by trying their new stuff that they're not going to try on a guy their level or higher, that they're just going to, miss, or that they don't feel as strongly in, that's what they, should be doing to you. And that's like them trying their new stuff, and that's you also getting the benefit of seeing that new stuff, and seeing them throwing all that stuff, and it's just you kind of get that whole, defense side. Yeah. So you get you get to see that defensive side, or put in that defensive situation with a guy who's a higher level than you, throwing high level, stuff at you.
Yeah, and that, man, when you're in a situation where you're rolling with a higher level person, it is, sometimes it can be like a minnow swimming with sharks.
Yeah. Right.
There's
a bunch of analogies of what
sharks and shark bait.
It was when shark bait, or you're fighting a shark and you don't know how to swim.
Yeah. About 2 weeks ago, we have a drill that we do where you get into threes. And essentially one person...
The situational drilling?
Yeah.
In groups of threes?
Yeah.
We start in a dominant position.
Yeah, and then explain the drill. Explain the drill.
So it's just group of 3, one man stays in the middle, and it's always based off of one position. And whether that's mount, full back, guard, wherever, each position, one person has 1 to 2 objectives. Is to either, if you're, say we start from full mount, person starts in full mount, it's a bottom person's job to obviously escape, to get to either some guard or to bump and get on top. And it's the top guy's position to either get to a better position, which would maybe, be the back, or to finish. So, and it's just, it kind of just concentrates that situation, and maybe it puts you in all the main positions really that you're going to most likely encounter in a tournament, and it just kind of drills in your head, okay, I'm in this position, I need to be doing this, this, and this, and it kind of forces you to only do moves from that position.
Right, and really it helps you learn those moves when you're exhausted.
Right.
When you're tired.
Yeah, so when some person either escapes, I'm explaining the drill. So when some person either escapes or submits, gets a finish, then they switch, and it's one guy staying in the middle, and they just
so
switch back and forth.
Yeah, you get a fresh guy every 30 seconds to a minute, really.
Depending on how
the drill goes.
Depending how well you're able to make whatever you got to happen or get finished. I guess.
A couple weeks ago, we were doing that, and the numbers just shook out to where there was an even number of people. We needed odd, and so I got put with John Pfeiffer and
right.
Michael Martin, a blue belt and a purple
I remember
belt
that day.
That are both animals, man. And I just walked over there and I'm looking. Well, I was with two guys that were way bigger than me at first. And they're like, "Oh, we'll put you over here with these guys." And I walk over and I'm like, "Buh."
Yeah, and everyone knew. Everyone's just
I just raised my hands.
Right,
I go, winning. Yep. And Andre followed that up with just pray for Jesse. I felt so drained after that, man. I felt like, oh god.
You see, but I think it's those situations that really build you.
Oh yeah.
It's doing that really makes you the top killer white belt.
And the thing is too is when you roll with higher belt levels, you don't learn bad habits,
right?
Because they've been in it long enough to where that you don't do it that way.
I would say it more as it's harder to develop bad habits.
Right.
Rolling with higher level guys.
Absolutely. No, I love rolling with the higher belt levels. I get worked on every time. But it's awesome.
See, I would think that it's you're able. I would say that you're more likely to develop bad habits rolling with a newbie, a white belt, than you would, because they're gonna let you get away with it.
Yeah.
Whereas the more advanced guys isn't gonna let you get away with making some silly mistake like that.
One person who's really good at that is Lynn Ramsey. I'll be drilling with him, and he'll be like, "Dude, that's not realistic." And I'm like, "What am I doing wrong?" He's like, "Do this." Like, "Oh, okay, so I'm just missing this.
Just one little piece.
This little piece. Okay, cool." But I love he'll be like, "Dude, that's not realistic. Like, do it this way." Like, okay, But it's great when you have people who are sticklers on technique like that, because being a stickler on technique in training will help you learn it right the way it works in competition.
Right.
So, it's a lot of fun, man, and even when you get I was talking to my neighbor about this. My neighbor signed up for a 3-month boxing class somewhere, and his buddies and him wanted to try something different the other night, so they went to they went to an MMA gym in Tempe.
Okay.
And he was like, "Dude, we did jiu-jitsu and we got our butts kicked so bad." And I'm like, "Yeah."
That sounds like a pretty normal first day experience.
That's totally
for
me
jiu-jitsu.
too. But he was talking about how cool the community was, and even so, even though you're getting worked on, how like everyone makes sure you're not
it's not too much.
It's not demoralizing.
Right. And some gyms are better than that at others.
Yeah, he said this one was pretty good. Where I was going with that is, you can get your butt kicked in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And you'll be a little sore.
Yeah, it's not as it doesn't take as big as a toll on your body.
Yeah, whereas if you're training Muay Thai and you get your butt kicked in Muay Thai, you just got your ass kicked.
Right. Getting your ass kicked in Muay Thai way different than jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing about jiu-jitsu is you dictate how bad you get messed up.
Yeah.
You can stop the match on a dime by tapping, and that's what's, I think, really cool about jiu-jitsu. If you're in Muay Thai, I mean, it's technically, like how long you're willing to stand up, I guess, if you don't want to just stay down.
Yeah.
But, when you get your ass kicked in Muay Thai, way different experience in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I've never done any Muay Thai, but
I think Muay Thai is one of the rougher fighting sports out of all of them. Boxing, jiu-jitsu, I would say Muay Thai, it takes the most on your body, and it's just beats your body down. Dude.
I've heard it compared to football as far as the toll on the body.
Well, I mean, I guess there's different ways of saying toll on your body, because what does that consider? Injury risks, or is that considered
just impact and
impact,
injury,
right?
and ultimate pulverization,
and damage to your brain, maybe.
Well, we got the full impact sparring in Muay Thai, which is it makes it so effective
Uh-huh.
when you're actually in a fight, a competition scenario.
Uh-huh.
Just because you'll never quite, even if you're sparring at 80%, you can still develop little training scars at 80%. Whereas full impact sparring, like you're going at it.
Right.
You know? So
yeah, no, I mean, bro, you can get cut going 50%, you know, catching an elbow the wrong way, catching a knee, you know, like.
Yeah. I've done a little boxing, just with friends who were boxers teaching me how to box. So I'm familiar with sparring, familiar with the workouts and stuff like that.
Okay.
But Muay Thai I've never gone into.
Muay Thai is different, dude.
Yeah.
Muay Thai is a different animal.
Yeah.
I would say Muay Thai is probably the most, because it's just brutal on your body because of the way that you fight. So different, I think, it's kind of brutal. Each fighting sport is kind of brutal in their own way. You know, I think that in boxing it's just the most brutal on your brain based on how they have it, the rule set. And all it comes down to is a rule set. And so in boxing, you feel a little loopy, you know, you can't stand up. They literally give you 10 seconds to, you know, get your shit together and stand up. And obviously when you get knocked out, you're done. But 10 seconds, you can recover from a hard
bell ring,
hits in 10 seconds. And that's why people do. That's why people die. Is because they can do it. You know, it is drilled inside of them to be able to get the hell back up and keep fighting. It's what they're trained to do, and it just leads to, you know, a lot of bad stuff. But so I would say it's the most on the brain.
Yeah,
boxing.
Definitely.
I think Muay Thai is a full body experience. Of taking punishment, and I would say that Jiu-Jitsu is more on your joints.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess, you know, every sport, you know, has a toll on your joints, but I'd say definitely in Jiu-Jitsu it's more.
Well, that's the area of focus in a lot of Jiu-Jitsu, where boxing, the area of focus is stomach to head.
Right.
You know, Muay Thai, legs to head, you know, all the way up. One thing about boxing, and I love it as a sport, love it as a discipline, but it's the head trauma, man. It's like... Yeah,
so that's what I'm saying.
You don't have a lot of longevity with boxing.
Right, and the way that the rule set works with boxing, and just kind of that formula of having them being able to recover in that 10 seconds, I think is what derives a lot of that brain damage.
Yeah. As a spokesperson, boxing should hold on to Sugar Ray Leonard and never let him go. To be his age, be a former champion, and to still be as articulate and as well-spoken as he is, it doesn't happen like that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, and that kind of... So what that is I don't know, maybe a combination of how good your brain is, but it's kind of a reflection of your fighting style.
Right.
And, you know, being able to be elusive and not get hit as much, not take as much damage. And that is a huge variable in the game. Just
from, like, the presentation of the sport, though, like, boxing should be like, James Toney, we do, you don't want to interview him. You know, let's go talk to Sugar Ray. You remember Sugar Ray? Yeah, Sugar Ray was dope. You know? You know? And it'll be interesting to see how some of these MMA fighters age. I think already we're seeing that they age better than boxers. Just because the focus isn't... The money shot in boxing is the knockout. That's what everyone's there to see. And while you have that in MMA, you've got a way wider range of focus of attacks.
That goes without saying. But I think one thing of why brain damage might be less with MMA fighters than boxers is the way the rounds are set. Yeah. So I think that the way the rounds are set in boxing is it's a more short, concentrated round. You get more breaks, so you get a longer time to recover. So it's like more of a little sprint, you know. So it's a bunch of little sprints of you beating the hell out of someone, opposed to three rounds. Championship fights for MMA are typically five.
Yeah.
You know, but average fights for MMA, it's 3 5s. So I think that in those 5-minute rounds, you obviously get way more tired than the shorter boxing rounds, and they both get a minute break. So I think that the way the rounds are set are huge.
Yeah.
On the amount of brain damage and that you will take.
Yeah, that's a good observation too. That's a good perspective. It seems like MMA on the whole is just way better on the brain.
I think it's way better on the brain, and I think that it forces your body to be in the ultimate peak shape that you could possibly be in. I think that it's one of the top athletes.
I mean, you look at fighters early on in the UFC's history. Mm-hmm. Guys like Tank Abbott, guys like
started with the brutes.
Yeah, guys that like these big beer guts, and every now and you'll still see fighters with a big gut from time to time, like.
Well, I think it was just that as the starting sport, like any kind of sport starts off with, is just the big guys that are the strongest. That
but then you get guys like George St. Pierre, Uriah Faber, guys who are constantly pushing the envelope of their training.
Well, I think that there's a huge time gap between those two fighters, and there's a lot of evolution in not only fighting, training, theories on diet, everything.
But yeah, it's just very much like you say, like a fighter going into a fight, like a high level fighter, very much like a high performance engine that's been tuned.
Yeah,
right down to the last detail. We can get a little more torque this way.
That's a great analogy.
Get a little more
Formula
power this
One
way.
race car.
Absolutely.
Down to every angle, everything.
Yeah, it's definitely the next level in prize fighting. It's pretty. Yeah, I love MMA. I love all contact sports, combat sports. I'm excited to see McGregor Mayweather.
Yeah, I mean,
my heart says McGregor, my wallet says Mayweather.
Yeah, I mean. Everyone's kind of been asking me my opinion on this because I'm a fighter, and they're just asking, what do you think? What's going to happen? And what's going to happen is McGregor's going to get picked apart. He knows he's going to get picked apart.
Yeah.
And I think he's just going in there to get a $100 million ass beating, which I would probably do, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
I would do it for $1 million. I would fight Mayweather.
I'm not greedy. I'd do it for $500,000. I'd fight you for $500,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so I completely get it, and it makes sense. And he's making his money. He's doing a good job, and hopefully he's working on just elusive, oddball shit to try to pull out.
Yeah, I'd like him to make it respectable, but I know Floyd's going to pick him apart. Yeah.
No matter how big the gap is, I do think that McGregor does have the power and capability of knocking him out, but I do not think it's going to happen. I hope he knocks him out. I want to see, my boy Conor go in there and pull a W, but it's not going to happen.
And I think with boxing, out of all the different martial arts, with boxing, you have the highest level of chance. Whereas if you have...
Wait, you said in boxing, what?
In boxing, you have the highest level. You have that puncher's chance. Whereas in Jiu-Jitsu, if you take the lower level person Jiu-Jitsu with the higher level person's going to win every time.
Okay.
Where boxing, you may get that. You may catch him.
Right.
You might.
Yeah.
So I think that. I'm not trying to say that boxing is all chance.
No. I know what you're saying.
Super high level skill.
You're just saying it's easier to get caught. In boxing than it would be in jiu-jitsu, and I would agree with you.
Or with Muay Thai, or with wrestling. I think boxing has the largest room for catastrophe when it comes to making an error.
Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't say that it's too far. It definitely is. The gap is big between boxing and jiu-jitsu, with the lucky chance of being able to catch somebody, like being able to catch somebody in a submission, or versus being able to catch them and clip and getting knocked out. But I would say that it is way harder in jiu-jitsu to get that chance, but it's still there, dude.
If we're rolling,
you can still kind of catch them.
I'm not going to accidentally get you in a triangle or an armbar.
But you'd be surprised
you're going to feel that coming a mile away.
Yeah, I would say yes and no, because right off the bat, I've seen wrestlers snap a head down, lock up a guillotine in seconds, you know, and tap somebody out who has way better jiu-jitsu. So,
but that's a wrestler though.
Yeah.
You know,
or I was just saying, like, someone who predominantly does wrestling, who has way lower level of jiu-jitsu than somebody.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
but that wrestling level,
they're still able
kind
to
of bumps them up a little bit on the overall grappling.
Oh, on the overall grappling side, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm talking about just straight
jits,
apple for apple.
Yeah. You know, like, but I still think that no matter, white belt versus black belt, you're not catching the black belt.
No, even a white belt versus a purple belt.
A lot times. Of like purple belt versus the black belt, probably not going to catch them. You know, but I don't know, man. You're always able to get caught.
That's true.
You're never
true.
safe.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
But
I know for me, like every person in that gym that we roll with, if I'm not present in that moment, they will catch me with something. Like, we don't have anybody in our gym that just sucks.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
yeah.
So, I mean, even if I feel like, okay, if I stay present, I feel like I can beat this guy. Mm-hmm. If my mind wanders, next thing I know, I'm in a very dangerous spot.
Yeah.
You know?
You're not paying attention for a split second.
So, I mean,
can change
it does happen. It does happen.
Yeah.
But I think with boxing, you just have that way more of a puncher's chance. Because you've got
I agree.
The flair going on. But it'll be interesting to see that. One thing I'd like to talk about before we call it a day is just women's MMA and women's jiu-jitsu in general. I think it's awesome. I love this new breed of female fighter that's coming out and just cleaning up. I think it's entertaining to watch. I think it's kind of a breath of fresh air. What are your thoughts?
I think it's awesome. I really just like